guys, it's Sam, and this is my spoiler-free review of The Glittering Court by Rochelle Mead. I was provided a copy of this book by Penguin Teen in exchange for an honest review that enters me into a giveaway. This trilogy is going to be a series of companion books, so each book is going to follow a different protagonist within the Glittering Court. This book follows the Countess who's being put into an arranged marriage that she obviously doesn't agree with. She finds a way to flee from this arranged marriage by taking on a new persona and traveling to the new world, the new frontier, and becoming a part of the Glittering Court. The Glittering Court is kind of like a boarding school, and it takes women from the old world who are kind of middle to lower class, and it transforms them into kind of new money type women that can be bought as wives in the frontier. This sounds kind of shady. It kind of is, but also the women do sign a contract and sign up for this, and they are allowed to decline if they want to. So this is the second book by Rochelle Mead that I have read. I have also read Soundless, which I didn't really enjoy, but a lot of people have said that her other books are way better. So I went into this with very high hopes. I heard it was fantasy, also had some historical fiction elements mixed in, and it sounded like it'd be right up my alley. But I ended up being disappointed as well. So first off, let me talk about the world building. The world building in here, I think, is the weakest point of this book, and that, I think, was what was so disappointing. This is kind of Regency era England mixed with, like, New World Frontier America. Those are kind of like the two settings. So I was expecting that mixed in with some magic. Ultimately, we don't get that. There's really no reason, honestly, that I can see that this was made into a fantasy. This could have been a historical fiction, and it is a historical fiction, honestly. It just changes the names of a lot of places, of a lot of cultures, and adds a little bit of a different kind of religious background into it that's kind of fantasy-esque. But again, there's not really magic or anything. It's just replacements for England, the United States, Native Americans, stuff like that, where it's like, we could have just had the exact same thing in a historical fiction or an alternate reality historical fiction. Like, that would have made more sense to me. But saying that this is a fantasy book is a little inaccurate, and I think is going to get a lot of people's hopes up when that's not really what you're being given with this. Also, I found a lot of things really weren't explained with the world and with the world building. There's a little bit of this religious background, which I tend to really like in fantasy books, especially when you have a new religion that really is part of the world building, but I felt like the religion wasn't explained enough. A lot of the culture wasn't explained enough. Again, it was borrowing a lot from our own world, which is fine, but if you're making a fantasy world, you have to kind of make it different, and it didn't really do that much. Also, I think the problem is that since this is a companion series, that the other books are going to fill in holes, which is a good and interesting idea, but ultimately I think it gave this book a lot of problems because as a whole I think this series is going to be better, but as individual books it leaves a lot of holes in all those books. So next let me talk about the characters. I really enjoy the characters in this world. I really enjoy our protagonist. She is stubborn and impulsive, and she's also pretty smart and witty, and I just enjoy those kinds of characters. Like, as soon as a character is doing something stubborn and impulsive, I just love them. It just endears them to me. Almost always. There are very few exceptions that are notable, but otherwise I tend to love them. So as soon as she does something stupid and rash, I'm like, oh good, my baby. So I really enjoyed her for the most part. The love interest I enjoyed as well. There's a little bit of this kind of banter going back and forth with them, which I really liked. Because this book is almost like a standalone within the series, even though there is a series, I felt like the relationship didn't have a ton of time to develop. I liked the first half of the book and the relationship and how that went, but then it started to feel rushed. Also, I didn't know that this was a companion series until I was about 2/3 of the way into the book, so I kind of maybe judged the relationship a little too harshly as I was reading it because I didn't know that, but also it just feels a little rushed, even for a series, and I just ended up not liking or believing the relationship as much towards the end. I still liked it, and I still like them as characters. I just think that the relationship part was not quite as well done as it could have been. As far as the side characters, I really enjoyed them as well. As I said, since it's a companion series, we're going to get the perspectives of two of the other girls in the Glittering Court who are friends with the main character in their own books. And I'm looking forward to that because I do love both of those other side characters. And like I said, you don't really get them to be fully fleshed out because they're going to get their own story that ties into this story. So there are things that I want to know about them, and it's frustrating, but I know we're going to get it. But I'm still frustrated, so it's really hard because I feel like this is a series that is ultimately going to have to be reviewed when it's all the way done, but they release individually. So it kind of leaves us as reviewers and as readers kind of like, how do you really judge this when we're not really getting the full story? The ending leaves you a little bit wanting because, again, a lot of the holes that the other girls' stories are going to fill in, you don't get the answers to. So the main character will get the answers to some of those things, but she doesn't tell you as the reader. So it's frustrating, and you're left kind of feeling like, I don't know the whole picture here. It's a little confusing, and there's a lot of problems with that. Also, there's a lot of cases of Deus Ex Machina in this book, so if you guys aren't familiar with that term, it's when you have the characters in a situation that they can really not get out of in a good way, and you'll have something or someone or some force come swooping in and kind of like save the day, rectify everything. It's kind of like if a god were to come down and be like, alright, and now this person is resurrected, or this person is fine, or whatever. It's one of those like unlikely scenarios where the characters get out of it, and it's fine when used sparingly, but it's kind of used a lot in this book, to be honest. So I didn't enjoy that. Although I liked that the characters got out of these hard situations, I really feel like they didn't fight for it a ton, and that makes me kind of be like, it doesn't really get them a lot of development, and I feel like it's a lazy way to get characters out of the holes that you back them into. So that was a problem, because there's a lot of that, and like I said, there are all of these plot holes, but I also feel like I can't review this book very well not knowing the whole series, so I think this book will be great when it's marathon with the entire series, when all the other books are out. But I think that a lot of people might end up disappointed with this first book, and even maybe with the second book, I'm not sure, because of the fact that you're going to have a lot of holes with it. But I do love the concept of it. I do love the concept of companion trilogies. I actually have another companion trilogy on my shelf, the Graceling series, which I absolutely adore. But I think that when you have companion series, when everything is being done at the same time, where the Graceling series isn't like that, the Graceling series takes place in different timelines, then you have more issues because you have readers left without all the answers, which I'm fine with. I'm fine with vagueness, but this is where, like, I know it's going to get told to me later, and it's just, it leaves me kind of frustrated. So overall, I did have a lot of issues with this book. I had some issues with the world building and all of the holes, just overall throughout, with all the different elements that I judge for a book, but I am going to continue with the series. I think I'm going to like the series overall when it's done, potentially. I'm going to give the second book a chance, see how I feel, see if some of the things about the world building and the characters and stuff improve with more information in other books. But ultimately, I gave this one a 2.5 out of 5 stars. I didn't love it. I didn't absolutely hate it, and I think a lot of the reasons that I didn't like it will get rectified later on in the series. But it leaves me as a reviewer very like, how do I judge this? Alright guys, that is it for my review of The Glittering Court. Comment down below and let me know what you thought of The Glittering Court. I have not had a lot of luck with Richelle Mead books, and I always want to, and I never really do. So I think it's about time that I just read The Vampire Academy. I don't know why, but I'm putting it off. I just think that other books will be a nice gateway, and they're not. I just need to read Vampire Academy. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see all you guys soon. Bye!